Boeing reaches a labor deal.
Next on WBEZ.
Boeing reaches a labor deal.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI. And by Baird. Employee-owned and independent, Baird offers global financial advice focused solely on clients' needs. More information at BairdDifference.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. After a rough year, Boeing was facing a possible strike to add to its list of problems, but no longer. Boeing has reached a tentative deal with its largest labor union, with the hopes of averting a strike as soon as Friday. The deal includes a huge pay raise, 25 to 33%, depending on how you calculate it. It also includes a new commitment from Boeing that has been long sought by many of its union workers. Marketplace's Nova Safo joins us from Los Angeles to talk about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Sabri.
So, Boeing's commitment is that it will build any new commercial airplane it comes up with in the Pacific Northwest in unionized factories. Mm-hmm. Why is this important?
Well, it's been a sore spot for Boeing's unionized workforce. That's because the company moved production of its 787 Dreamliner, the long-haul plane, to a non-union plant in South Carolina. Now, the head of Boeing's commercial airplanes division, Stephanie Pope, is promising employees that they're not going to see that happen again. And she made that promise in a video directed to employees.
As part of the contract, our team in the Puget Sound region will build Boeing's next airplane. This would go along with our other flagship models, meaning job security for generations to come. It's a big commitment to you and to our community.
Now, this is a symbolic promise for now, Sabri, because it's effective as long as the new contract is, which, if ratified later this week, would last only until 2028. There are no indications that Boeing will have a new plane built by that time.
So then why make such a sort of big deal out of this point?
Well, the symbolism does matter. Boeing's new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, has based himself out of Seattle, not the company's corporate headquarters in Chicago. He has said he needs to get close to the production lines as Boeing tries to continue improving its safety and quality control standards. It has been in crisis all year. So this latest commitment that it'll build a future plane in Seattle area lives within that context, Sabri.
All right, Marketplace's Nova Safo, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are up in the 6 to 0.7% range. The Dow futures up 261 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 3.744%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by JLL, committed to finding smarter ways to tackle business goals with commercial real estate solutions. From sustainability to discovering workspaces, JLL.com. JLL, see a brighter way. And by Bitwarden, with a reminder that a password manager for business can be a crucial investment in protecting employees, executives, and IT teams. Bitwarden.com.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are set to square off in their first debate tomorrow evening. While they may not get into economic nitty-gritty during the 90-minute debate, both campaigns have put forth ambitious fiscal proposals. So how do these proposals actually add up? To find out, Marketplace Morning Report host David Brancaccio spoke with Kent Smetters, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. Smetters is also the faculty director of the Penn-Wharton Budget Model. That's a nonpartisan initiative at the university that provides impact analysis of federal policies. One note, the Wharton budget model for Harris-Trump was published before President Trump's speech at the Economic Club of New York last week, where he promised trillions of dollars in spending cuts through cutting waste and fraud, as well as tax cuts that he said would lower the federal debt, among other pledges. Here's David.
Let's start with the Donald Trump plan. And an analysis from your group finds households across all income groups would benefit from the plan on a conventional basis. What is that stipulation there at the end?
The conventional basis simply means a snapshot in a point in time. In particular, it really does not account for the fact that lots of these goodies here are being financed by future generations. And in particular, we can make everybody look like a winner if we simply add to the debt.
Let's turn to the Kamala Harris plan. You said the Trump plan, all income groups benefit on a conventional basis. That plan you find benefits lower and middle income households, but not so much higher income. Who's higher income?
Yeah. What we find is the bottom, call it 95%, are basically either neutral or better off with the Harris proposals. The top 5% are going to be a bit worse off. Some of the goodies here to the bottom 95%, it's not all being financed by the top 5%. A lot of this is still being kicked the can down the road to future generations who are going to have to finance some of this.
All right. So to that point of you paid the piper one way or another, your model shows the federal budget deficit increases much more under the Trump plan than the Harris plan?
The way I describe these two plans is that Trump is pretty clear but expensive. Harris is definitely a lot cheaper, but it's a little bit cagey in terms of exactly what she's proposing. So Trump, we estimate, will increase the debt by about $5.8 trillion over the next 10 years, not including economic feedback effects, whereas the Harris plan is definitely a lot cheaper in the sense that it will, as officially introduced, increase deficits by about $1.2 trillion over the next 10 years.
Last thing, but an important thing, voters have said repeatedly that inflation is on our minds. So I'll ask, what did you find in calculating each campaign's plan about effects on inflation?
They both will increase inflation a bit, but they're pretty spread out. Both are going to add to the debt. And the only way we can deal with this debt over time is we're going to have to either increase taxes. That's kind of like an inflation. We're going to have to take away things in terms of spending cuts, or we actually have explicit inflation where the Federal Reserve comes in and monetizes that debt. And that's the real inflation risk. It's not necessarily immediate, but it could just be, 5-6 years down the road that you could actually start to see higher inflation. And then 10, 15, 20 years down the road, really significantly high inflation.
A lot of teachable moments here. Wharton Business School professor Kent Smetters is also faculty director at the Penn Wharton Budget Model. You can read more of the analysis. We've linked to it at marketplace.org. Professor Smetters, thank you.
Thank you.
Our producers are Nick Perez, Ariana Rosas, Alex Schroeder, and Erica Soderstrom. Our senior producer is Meredith Gerritsen-Morby. In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.